I am. I haven't yet become consistent with these discourses. The workflow hasn't become a perfected thing. I just recently got a tripod, so I can now have the camera in a good position to speak into. So that's good. But regarding doing it, there are people next door doing work on their house, and it's very noisy. There's a grinding tool that is so toxically audible. I don't know if you understand the notion of toxic sound, but sounds can be as toxic as bad food or a bad something that's poisonous. It just has to be those tones, those right tones that just wrench the body apart. But that as it may, just getting myself into the flow, into the discipline, into the scheduling of doing these discourses is part of the, and is the major issue. But I will get it done. I know I will, because I like doing them. One of the things about these discourses is they're very redundant. Redundancy is not a bad thing, it's just I feel like I have to talk about it a little. Redundancy in regards to learning and passing on information is really important. It is impossible to ingest anything upon first hearing, first sight, first anything. Mostly what one needs to do is see it, hear it, talk it, practice it a few times before something starts to click in the understanding of it. It always was interesting when somebody would hear me perform and they seem to know what they were hearing when they haven't heard anything really. They just heard it for their first time. I remember hearing the Brahms violin concerto for the first time, and I didn't understand a word, a tone, and anything of it. And now it's one of my favorite violin concertos. So I am very redundant in my speaking, in my discourses. I will repeat over and over again similar ideas, thoughts, principles, things I live by, because I don't believe that you even hear it when I first say it. So when I talk about soul, you are completely stuck in your notion of soul, therefore you don't know what soul is that I'm talking about. I'm talking about something very deep in relation to that, and you might be thinking of it in relation to your religion or in relation to some trendy idea that you got from yoga or something. That's not what I'm talking about. Being now that I am 71, I am closer to death than most of you, and therefore I think a lot about this notion of soul, the notion of infinity, the notion of death. So being redundant about soul, being redundant about what I think about it, is a good thing for me and for you, because I continue to fine-tune my understanding and you continue to attempt to hear what I'm saying. Redundancy is also important in regards to any kind of study. So my redundancy in my life is constant practice of my left hand, constantly drawing, constantly doing lines, these little exercises I do, drawing circles. These are very simple activities. For most people, they would say, a circle, I can just draw a circle. But I can draw a circle now with both hands very well, and I will still practice. I draw lines, 12 straight lines, both in all directions. That's to practice and to be redundant in my practicing of this control of lines, so I can draw with lines well. So I can almost say that redundancy and practice are similar. Redundancy can be perceived to be a little bit more negative than practicing, though a person who is practicing the violin when their mother is saying, you should practice your violin, thinks of practice as a very negative thing. So I'm redundant. I will continue to be redundant. I will continue to repeat things over and over in ways that are very strange at times. I will talk about myself as a Twoman being over and over. Twoman being is a new phrase. It comes from my interaction with a man named Bob Laff, who I met in Barcelona in the 2000, probably 2001, right around 9/11, the falling of the two towers in New York. I met him in Barcelona, and we created quite a lot of things together in the short period of time we were together. He was a brother, I would say. He died about 10 years ago. I think he didn't handle his nutrition well, so he ate poorly. But in terms of his ideas, he stimulated me as much as anybody has ever stimulated me in my life. And one of the phrases we came up together with was Twoman being instead of human being. You are human. You are a human being. But we acknowledged ourselves, or called ourselves Twoman beings. Bob Laff was a public performer. He would put on makeup so that one half of his side was black and the other half of his was white. He would have a wig on one side, and he would have so in other words, he would dress himself up as both man and woman, black and white, and in his costume or his clothing he also divided it up in half. With such a astute and interesting person, of course I would be stimulated by him. We created the Mapa da Vida, which I have and which I may show you one of these days. It's a method that Bob Laff came up with and I designed for him that showed the process of living from birth till death. In that, I could say, is the soul. It's also the Tao, it's also the Twoman. The acknowledgement of being a Twoman being, the statement of being a Twoman being is very important, because people, for the most part, do not fully recognize themselves and hold to just one part of themselves. Thus, they are handicapped. I am still handicapped, and I will be for the rest of my life. I will never be truly my left-hand side will never be completely up to my right-hand side, because when I was young, a baby, my mother and father handed me a pen to make me be a right-handed being. They identified me as right-handed. They didn't think of me as left-handed. They didn't even give me the opportunity to be left-handed. So therefore everything was right-handed. And not only that, but society is leaning to right-handedness. Scissors are right-handed. What's interesting is that there are some cultures who do write left-hand from reverse direction. They are Hebraic and Arabic. So I would now write left to right and right to left. I scan left to right, right to left. I am not perfect at it, but I am good at it. And thus, I am a Twoman being. I look at things from all directions. I don't look at it from one direction, like most of you. So I will be redundant about this forever, because it's important to me. It's important to everything. It helps and has helped me fully open, so that now I don't have any concern anymore about anything having to do with being a Twoman being. There was a time when I was extremely embarrassed for myself. There are several things that a Twoman being can do that would make them the tops of their fields. I have already mentioned a few, but as I said, I'll be redundant, and redundancy is my key behavior in my discourses. I write backwards and forwards. I write with my left and my right hand. I scan both directions. Scanning up and down, of course, is one of the ways that one can scan also. But it's the left, right, right, left thing that is the problem. People read in one direction. But also, when I was young, I played baseball, and I was a switch hitter. I could bat both right and left. So it gave me an assistance in dealing with different kinds of pitching, so that if the opposing team would change their pitcher to deal with me and brought a left-handed pitcher in, then I could switch and become a right-handed hitter. Or if the pitcher was right-handed, I could be a left-handed hitter. This kind of thing is possible. And the thing that is even more interesting is I throw now left-handed. And if you had a pitcher, in baseball I'm speaking, and this may not interest most people, but sports are interesting in that they can offer a kind of a paradigm or a syllogism for other ways of thinking. If the pitcher was capable of throwing either right-handed or left-handed, they would be a terror upon the other team, because they could not prepare for them. You couldn't prepare for a left or right-handed pitcher, nor can you prepare for a tennis player who could serve both right and left, and play forehands both right and left, or backhands both right and left. I also have, and I will never be good at it, but I play the violin left-handed. And when I speak of playing the violin left-handed, that means that I use my left hand to bow, because bowing is what one does when one plays the violin. Fingering is a different thing. Bowing is the pen, and the violin is the paper.